Welcome to the Level Up Sports Network and the Connecticut PGA Tour podcast. I am your host, Leo Kabikoff, for this fourth episode. As there it is. Oh, it stopped. Anyways, Ben's finally back from Italy, and how is Italy, Ben?
It was a blast. Great food. I don't think I'll ever, maybe even eat pasta or pizza that good ever again.
Yeah, I know. And when I was there, I know like people who are there for so long, they kind of get sick of it. But did you like Florence, the places that I told you to go?
Yeah, we didn't quite make it to like the Giardini Budadini place.
Did you go to Aqua?
No, I didn't, but I took photos that in front of it because our hotel was on the same street as it.
Oh, really?
But I did go to Gusta Pizza, and I went to Vivoli one day. It was great gelato there.
Yeah. And my non-sports update for the day. Last week was the Basketball Hall of Fame. Lots of content coming out recently. I was in Toronto, as you guys have seen. If you have not seen, check out those shorts. We got a few of them from both games. I went to first time I've ever been 2 MLB games in a row, and the eating up at the restaurant down on the field. Luckily, the Yankees did get one of those wins, but Blue Jays really emerging in a playoff spot right now for the first time in a while. But let's just get into it. FedEx St. Jude Championship, and we got our analysts as we have talked about this in our first take. But Ben predicted the winner once again. Scottie Scheffler did win, and Ben predicted that a week ago last Wednesday, and this is the second Wednesday in a row that a Connecticut PGA Tour podcast has predicted the winner. So stay tuned, and if whoever we say most likely will be the winner 2 weeks in a row, I got Michael Brennan, and Ben got Scottie Scheffler. So Ben, send it over to Ben, who really knows his stuff, predicting the winner. What are your takeaways from the tournament other than Scottie, which we'll get to?
Yeah, just miraculous how good of guessers we are. And guys, if you want to know the winner who will win the BMW Championship, you better stay tuned for the upcoming episode.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Some of my takeaways, some player who I thought really shined was two players who we believed in. He was our sleeper, but did not play like a sleeper. He finished tied 3, one of his best finishes of the year. I got Alex Noren from Swedish. He's Swedish.
Yep.
He's not from Swedish. He is Swedish. We both predicted him to go well, and he played some of the best golf he's ever played this year, and even in a while, you can say. So we believed him, and he did really good. And someone who I thought really just did terrible, I have Rory McIlroy. He finished at, I think, 64, somewhere around there. Bottom of the leaderboard, never was in contention. Not from the first hole he played, not from the last. Someone who's won a Masters, you expect him to perform a little bit more. He's only played a couple tournaments this year, and in every one besides the Masters, he hasn't done not one thing. No bueno for Rory. And he continues that streak at the FedEx Cup. Just not really anything we've seen impressive since the Masters from Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, and first off, that is one of my kind of takeaways from the tournament is Rory. And to be honest, it's really just karma because he's only played very little, less than the minimum events to play the season. And he hasn't played the FedEx St. Jude Championship in many years, and I don't think he really wanted to play it, but he was kind of forced into because he never plays it. And then, of course, the one time he plays it, he does terrible. And it's kind of karma, and just really, karma that everybody wants to see him play everywhere, and he's not playing at a lot of tournaments. So I just think that it's kind of karma. And the other guy is Siwoo Kim. And also, by the way, Alex Noren, I've met him. He's a super nice guy, as you guys know.
Super nice guy. The Leo special, baby. Someone ordered the Leo special.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have met him before, and he goes to, I think I've talked about this before on the podcast. And my other guy, Siwoo Kim, he's had a great season, and just continuing that really is all I've got for Siwoo. And let's move on to, well, our Scottie analyst here in our podcast, Ben, who predicted it. Talk about why you really predicted Scottie to end up winning and how he kind of did that.
So I just thought last time he played in Memphis at TPC Southwind, he had another dominant performance, winning there by a couple of strokes. This year he's shined in some moments, but haven't really had his turn at lifting the trophy since the Farmers Insurance Open back at the beginning of the year. And I thought he'd have that spark. And Scottie, someone who catches fire at the end of the year, a common Scottie thing to do. And I thought he would do it again, and he did. He found his spark. He found the game we've seen him play in other years and earlier on in this year with a dominant performance. And I just expected him to have his spark in Memphis, and he did have his spark in Memphis.
Yeah, and totally great points from our Scottie analyst over there. And you really can't pick against Scottie just because of his few years. And even though a lot of people are saying, oh, this wasn't a great year, it wasn't a great year for Scottie, but it was the best year on the PGA Tour. And he's had 2 wins, and he's just been up there in every single tournament. So people really need to know that. And let's move on to the BMW. He's up there in what?
Oh, the FedEx Cup, like the FedEx Cup. It's like
he's the number 1 player on the PGA Tour. And let's move on to the BMW preview. BMW at Bellerive Country Club in St. Louis. I really like tournaments when it's getting to a new venue. And it's really just interesting to see a new course. And what I've heard is this one is one of the premier courses in the Midwest, something like that. I heard from somebody, and just really excited to see how the pros really fit in with this course. And what are you thinking about how this is kind of going to translate in the future with how the Tour Championship will be at new courses, kind of like that?
Well, Leo, let me guess. The person who probably told you that this was a premier course in the Midwest, it was probably yourself. Sorry, bud. But I think it's cool that we're having tournaments.
It was not myself.
So I just think it's cool that we're having tournaments in different places. Last week we went to Memphis, a not really known golf place, and that was St. Louis, a place who's mostly known for the Gateway Arch, not their golf courses. I think that it's cool that we're trying new venues, and I think the players will fit in with this course like any other that they've played many times. But I think it'll be interesting to see maybe some other players who could rise at a new course that I don't think any player in this tournament has ever played at. It's going to be very interesting. And basically what we're going to see this week is what we're going to see a lot in the championship series, different courses, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and this is exactly what we're going to see in the championship series. And as I really like this new feature, as I think you guys can see, the Tourcast range, it shows the range, and just this really shows, I was looking at this earlier, the amount of shots guys have hit just like today. This isn't really a good example. Wyndham Clark, 160 shots, and this is on top of how a lot of guys are playing 18 holes or a lot of practice rounds just so you can see this new course. A lot of people are wanting to see this new course as we come back, I think. Hopefully we'll come back. Uh-oh. And we're back. Oh. And And we're finally back. But that's kind of just what I wanted to show, and it's kind of cool to see guys put in really new work. And I know the caddies probably have been walking the course a lot to see yardages and how to play from every spot on the course. And let's move on to our not miscut. We got our bad week top 15 win sleeper. I know this always changes based off of if there's a cut or not. So let's just start off with your bad week, Ben.
My bad week is someone who hasn't really had his good week yet this year, and Seb Straka, someone who last year made the Ryder Cup, and after he made that, a career achievement, hasn't really showed, having one of the worst years ever in his career. For a player who's been really good, it's been disappointing, and I think he will continue to be disappointing at the BMW Championship.
Yeah, and why don't you just move on to your sleeper? Yeah, you can go with your sleeper, and then I'll go with my bad week and sleeper.
Okay, someone ordered a Ben special today because I have two sleepers.
He has two sleepers.
Once again, I couldn't decide. These are two players who I think will both have a good week. Coming off a good week, Jake Knapp finishing tied for 7th last week, and it's going to be nap time. Not like a nap. He's not going to fall asleep on this course. He's going to heap. Are
you in a different language? Is there a different pronunciation of heat that I've never heard of before?
He's going to heat up. Coming off a tied 7, hasn't really sparked yet this season, and he will, finishing high up on the leaderboard. My other one is someone who, in a couple majors, he's been scary, mostly in final rounds. Mr. Final Round himself, Kurt Kitayama. He hasn't really won a tournament. He's finished in at the top, but yet to get his win. And I think that he'll continue to finish at the top of the leaderboard. Mr. Final Round, he'll have a good final round and be up there in the leaderboard.
Yeah, and just quickly, it's not really a break for you guys since it's only 1 second, but we will take a break presented by the Ben special and Leo special. If you know those specials, definitely put them down in the comments. And pretty easy, Ben just said one, and I did say one earlier. The hint for mine, well, the opposite of mean guy. As we welcome you back to the Level Up Sports Network, some singing during the break from Ben. So where were we?
Miscut top 15.
Oh yeah. So
after I delivered a Ben special, now it's your turn.
Yeah, Ben special. Definitely drop that in the comments. Another hint for the Ben special. Well, he just did it. And so for the week, my bad week. I think it has to be. This is kind of hard. My bad week is it's gonna be Wyndham Clark, and and the pause there was really to confirm my decision because it was such a hot take, and I'm gonna continue with that.
Not that hot. Why do you think Wyndham Clark will have a bad week?
It's pretty hot with how good he's played this season, and I just think after last week, I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's not that many reasons for it. I just think the course is not really going to fit with his game, and yeah. So and then moving on, my sleeper pick is going to be Sahith Theegala. And
coming off the worst week of his career.
Yeah, and I just think he really needs it. And this year, kind of the story of Sahith has really been not having the best year of his life, but when he needs it to advance his season, he can do it. And it's not like he's won a lot, but he's had great finishes, and when he needs it to advance his season, he will advance it. And now I'm not saying he's going to win, but I think he's a perfect sleeper for me. And that kind of brings me to a point, and you can chime in on this too. But I just think that if you look, I'm going to show you guys the FedEx Cup standings here. Hopefully you can see the FedEx Cup standings.
Yep.
Oh, and there it is. Is this the FedEx Cup standings?
No, you're on the range thing.
Oh, well, we'll get you to that later. Sorry, I will get to that later. But, yeah, I only have one sleeper, unlike Ben. But just move on to your top 15.
Sahith Theegala. Last time at the Travelers, it was a Leo breakdown when he thought he was gonna win, and did nothing but win, finishing at the bottom.
He is a nice guy. He is a nice guy.
Leo special right there.
Leo
special right there. Leo special right there. Sahith Theegala coming off finishing dead last. Dead last. He thinks he's gonna have a good week. Hey, it's okay. So my top 15, this might be a hot take. Patrick Cantlay is my top 15.
I have not heard that name in a while.
Yeah, we haven't heard it. He went viral a couple years ago for being, "Where's your hat? Where's your hat?" in the Ryder Cup. I think that he will shine. We haven't seen him yet this week. Basically, what I was saying about Scottie Scheffler, hasn't had his spark and haven't lifted a trophy that often this year. That's the same situation for Patrick Cantlay. He's yet to lift a trophy this year, and I think his spark will fly, and he'll be a threat to the field. It's Patrick Cantlay. Where's your hat?
Yeah, and as I just got this up, I'm just going to show you guys this. And Ben, you can talk about this as well and kind of see if you agree about this. But the thing I've been really thinking of is how...
You have to scroll up a little bit. You're at like the 80s.
Yeah, that's the point. So...
Oh, sorry.
I just feel like this FedEx Cup, like, kind of cutoff is so crazy to me because some of these guys that I'm about to name, like when you think of them as really their season of, like this is the season that you remember them from. And first up, Brandt Snedeker, being the President's Cup captain and winning on the PGA Tour.
87?
Yeah, and at 87, and he even won on the PGA Tour. Has Jackson Suber won this year?
I think he might have, but he's definitely been up there in many tournaments. I know that.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not sure. I feel like, let's see if I can get to that. Oh yeah, he's not won this year, but 3 top 10s. I kind of think of Jackson Suber from this year. And let me get to this. Let's keep scrolling. Ricky Castillo. What I think of him is from this year when he won.
He's had like the best year of his career. He's had a great year.
Jackson Coyven coming off of it, obviously his only year, but I think it will be one of his most memorable years. Winning for the first time and still not making it in, even though he's had a great season. Moving on, Michael Kim.
Last week we were talking about how the cut line to get into the FedEx was not moving. I don't think I've ever seen a cut line move more than it did this week going into the BMW Championship.
Yeah, and as I continue, Michael Kim, when you think of him, you think of 2026. He's had such a great year. Let's just look. He's had so many top finishes, even though it doesn't look like, but when I really think of him, I think of him from this year. Even though he doesn't really put it together on Sunday, he still had some great finishes. And that's kind of what I think of Michael Kim as, and I think you probably agree with that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Michael Kim has had
all these guys. This is how you remember them from. Meanwhile, Jordan Spieth and Max Homa not making in, that's crazy. But Jordan Spieth definitely going in the
How
right
did
direction.
Eric Cole make it? He had a terrible week.
He did have a pretty good year, but then again, some of these guys that are not even in the Tour Championship who've had easily the best year of their career. Alex Noren, Gary Woodland coming off of brain cancer winning on the PGA Tour, and they still might not make it in to the Tour Championship. So this is just really showing how you really need to have a really good year, and for some guys their best year, and they're still not making it into this top 30. So it's kind of just showing how it's not just a top 30, it is a very hard top 30 to get into. And as we move on, let's give me my top 15 for the, what week is it?
Week
I'm
4.
having
It's
brain loss.
episode 4.
Oh yeah, week 4, episode 4, BMW Championship. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, so the BMW Championship, I'm going to go with my top 15 as, sorry guys, to be honest, I did not really prepare for this episode that much. My top 15, I'm going to have to go with Rory McIlroy. And we talked about him earlier, how it was karma, but I just think he's an angry guy, and I think his anger is kind of going to go into the ball and help him kind of have a really good week this weekend. Ben, what's your win?
I just want to say that's probably the hottest of all hottest of the hottest of the.
It's more hot than the Wyndham one.
I mean, maybe coming off, he's had a terrible week, hasn't played good, and I don't think that he'll make the top 15.
I think his roars are just gonna help him win because he's so angry.
Okay, this is a pretty hot take. Someone who we haven't really talked about that much this year, but I'm going to say it right now. Be mad at me all you want. Hideki Matsuyama.
Matsuyama?
He is my win. I think he's had a win right this year. I think. Not sure about that one. But I know he's had some top finishes. Has been coming off. He's been playing great golf as of late. I know he had a top 10 finish at the Wyndham. Played pretty good last week at the FedEx, and I think he continues. And this time, I think, like I've said with others, he finds his spark of not many trophies, and I think he lifts the trophy down there in St. Louis. And I think just the way he plays, I think it might fit this course really well. I think he's also really good at adapting to new things. One of the best with that in the entire PGA Tour golf, and I think that's why he's my win.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Just coming from Japan and transitioning to different courses, I feel like it will be easier for him to transition to this course in St. Louis. And my win is going to be Nico Echeverria. Coming off of a win earlier in the year at the Cognizant, I saw him win that. He's coming off of 2 T12s at the Wyndham and the FedEx St. Jude. I think he's really due for another win with how great he's been playing. A T6 at the Charles Schwab, a win at the Cognizant, a T8 at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. I just think he's really due for how consistent his year has been, and he does need a good week when he's at about, I think, 41 in the FedEx Cup rankings. You agree with that?
I mean, I think that's a good take. I was thinking he was on my list of top 15/sleepers. I never thought of him as my win, but as you guys might see, don't want to spoil it, but you might see later on in the episode, this is extremely fitting that you picked him to win, because later on in the episode, I might have some things about Nico Echeverria.
Well, I guess, guys, if you want to know the fun fact before it, maybe search up where Nico Echeverria went to college. I have no idea what your fun fact is. I'm just assuming that's it. But what are we at? Live. Liv is really the story once again this week, as it's been the story so many weeks. John Rahm rumors that he has to pay more than a $25 million fine to get back on the PGA Tour, and he will be doing it because he's not liking Liv. And I really am not sure this is all rumors, but what do you kind of think of this? That they're going to let him back on?
I think most of these players should be deserved to let out. As we said in past episodes, they can't just get in freely. They need to earn their way on. And John Rahm's way of earning is paying lots of money. He's won Masters. He has plenty of money to do this. It just, John Rahm, if it was any of these players who haven't really played that much on the PGA Tour, they would not be let back on, I don't think. Just because he's John Rahm is mainly the reason he's being let back on.
Yeah, and the other thing is that Rory was seen in a press conference. I think it might have been today that somebody asked him, "Do you think these Live guys should be let on?" They talked about John Rahm's rumor, and what he said was, "Have they helped the spark of Live?" And that question is kind of saying because the Live hasn't really succeeded, and he's saying, so should they be let on? I think the PGA Tour is fine at this point. And I agree with that in some ways, that he hasn't helped Liv because obviously Liv hasn't really succeeded. But then again, you're not letting all these premier players on the PGA Tour. I thought you wanted more competition, and I get it in some ways, but I also don't get it in some ways.
I would have to agree with that. I mean, Liv hasn't succeeded, hasn't been as entertaining as we would have expected, with only not many good players and not many very interesting tournaments. I mean, Rory, he's playing acting scared, I think, but some of those comments. He's a two-time Master Championship back-to-back. He's won the Grand Slam. He's one of the best golfers to ever play on a golf course. And he's just playing scared golf. He's scared to go back up against John Rahm, someone who's been a star and normally has had the better edge, you could say, of Rory McIlroy in some points. And Bryson DeChambeau, someone who drives it longer than anyone on the PGA Tour. He's and other players in there. He's just playing sort of scared with that last comment. But I do agree that Live Golf, we expected a little bit more, and it hasn't succeeded.
Yeah, and let's just kind of move on more to the preview of this bubble for the Tour Championship as we get this back up on the screen. Yeah, so the Tour Championship, we got top 30. We've kind of already looked at this, but a lot of our guys that we've been mentioning for a reason. And also, by the way, guys, what Hideki Matsuyama and who did I even say? Oh, Nico Echeverria. You watching for both of those names, as you guys have seen 2 weeks in a row. Let's see if we can get 3 weeks in a row. Hopefully Nico or Hideki do end up winning this week. But as we look at this, a lot of the guys we picked really are here kind of looking into the top 30, as we mentioned. Sahith Theegala, Nico Echeverria, Jake Knapp, Alex Noren. So where's Patrick Cantlay?
He's like 42, I think.
Oh yeah, Patrick Cantlay. And I also would have mentioned Justin Thomas and Ryo Hitsatsune as well. And let's just look at this from let's do 26 to, let's see how much we can get. 26 to 37. Who's leaving and who's getting in?
Okay, so Tom Kim, I think he's in for me. Adam Scott, he is out, in my opinion, Adam Scott. Kitayama in. Collie is out. Fowler definitely out. I think Woodland is in. Poston, I think, will make it in. So now I have one more spot to give. And I think that goes to Jake Knapp. And then Hodegaard, Noren, McIntyre, and Rye don't make it in.
Really? Even though Noren coming off of that T3?
I mean, I think he'll have just an average week, and it won't be enough to put him up, I think, 4 spots.
And what were you mentioning Jake Knapp about? Was that takeaways or was that one of your top 15?
He was my sleeper.
And you think he's not going to get in?
No, I said he will.
Oh, okay.
So I think what I said, I'll recap it for you guys. Kim in, Scott out, Kitayama in, Colley and Fowler out, Woodland and Poston in, and then Knapp in.
Yeah,
and then Hodegaard, Noren, McIntyre, and Rye are out.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you you said Noren out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with you on everything except for the fact that you said Colley in.
I said Colley.
Yeah. You said Colley out. I think Colley's in. I think he's had a great season, and he had such a great year last year. And I also think that Noren is in after what I said about him, and he is a nice guy. As we welcome you guys back here. And after we've kind of recapped everything, not a super busy weekend golf, even though it is the FedEx Cup playoffs. Other than the FedEx Cup playoffs, not a super busy week in golf, but it's time for what? Ben's fun fact of the day. And as you heard earlier, looks like it may be having to do with Nico Echeverria. And tell me when the drum roll is ready for you.
So you were right with your hint. Nico Echeverria, you guessed everything right to perfection. Nico Echeverria, your pick to win. I thought it was fitting, and you agreed with me that it was fitting picking him to win. But you guessed me exactly right. It was, everyone, if you looked up where he went to college, you were correct. If you looked it up, that is my fun fact. And the college Nico Echeverria went to is...
Uh-oh. Is Ben having connection issues? I think we need to investigate.
Arkansas University!
Oh, Ben pulling me off with the connection issues once again. That time I kind of knew that you were kind of faking it after last week, but...
Dramatic pause. It was a dramatic pause.
Can we get some research for this podcast next week into why all these international guys are coming to U.S. colleges for golf and not even the biggest colleges for golf? Do you know this, or are you I think we need to research this, right?
Yeah, I mean, Echeverria, Arkansas, it is sort of a better school than other colleges we mentioned. Like, I think we talked about McNeese and Nevada. Those ones are smaller. Arkansas is a bit bigger, but I just thought it was surprising that a player from Columbia, I believe, is going to Arkansas.
And who is at Nevada again?
Harry Hall.
Yeah, so I think it's not like big schools down south in Georgia and Vanderbilt and Florida schools and stuff like that. And I just think it's really interesting that premier PGA Tour players from countries like Colombia, England, Scotland, and are going to these smaller schools in the golf world like McNeese, Nevada, and
Arkansas.
So I just think this is quite crazy. And guys, definitely come back next week for another pick, and come back next week to recap, hopefully, that we got our pick right once again for the third week in a row. And definitely come back next Wednesday. Ben, welcome back to the mainland. Well, that was your Connecticut PGA Tour podcast here on the Level Up Sports Network. Alongside Ben Redmond, I guess the Scottie analyst, who was our person who predicted the winner, and hopefully we will have a prediction for the winner next week. For the Connecticut PGA Tour podcast and Ben Redmond, our Scottie analyst, I'm your host, Leo, saying so long from the Level Up Sports Network.